Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about generative AI, which is AI models that are able to generate content. Please remember to like and subscribe. Now let's get right into it. Fact 1. Generative adversarial networks. In the first iteration of generative AI, adversarial networks were used to generate images from text. How the computer model does this is that it sets up a game, if you will, where there are two players. Player 1, in this case, generates an image, and player 2 checks to see if the image is good or bad and assigns a score. If the image is good, player 1 knows that they will get more points for generating such images and will continue to generate images in that direction. However, on the opposite hand, if player 2 gives the generative image a bad score, then player 1 knows that they need to do some modifications in order to improve their score. As you can see, adversarial networks is really a machine learning model that pits the computer against itself in order to continue to refine and optimize generated images so that it fits human criteria. Now let's get into the next fact. Fact 2. Diffusion models. Adversarial networks from the previous section were the first machine learning models used to generate AI content images from text. Diffusion model is the next generation of methods to generate images. Diffusion models are completely different from adversarial networks. There's no player 1 or player 2. Instead, diffusion models start with training on millions and millions of images with their associated text or phrase. The machine learning model first gets familiarized with what images and text looks like, meaning it is aware that this particular text refers to this particular image. And then, when the user prompts the model after training, the machine learning model first breaks down the image down to the most basic noise level, which is similar to static on an old TV screen and a bunch of random pixels. And then the machine learning model tries to regenerate the image based on what it knows from the past of training, and then creates brand new images that are never seen before. These are all images of AI generated content. Now let's get into the next fact. Fact 3. Training set legal issues. As I mentioned before, diffusion models is overtaking the generative AI field because adversarial networks really can only generate images that it's seen before, versus diffusion models that are creating completely new images. But in order for the diffusion model to do so, again as I mentioned in the previous section, it requires training first on millions and millions of images along with associated caption or phrase. And all these images were actually scraped on the web without any regard to copyright issues. As a result, many image content owners are suing companies that are using diffusion models to generate AI images because they know that the diffusion models were trained on images that they have put forth on the internet, but is protected by copyright and therefore cannot be easily reused. This is an ongoing battle between image rights owners and the AI model trainers. And there has to be a middle ground to determine who is at fault, what is fair use, and how AI generated models can move forward with training on their images. Now let's get into the next fact. Fact 4. Intensive computing. Training these machine learning models takes an enormous amount of computing. We're not talking about hours or days. We're talking about weeks and months. For example, the first stable diffusion model was trained with 150 hours of A100 GPU computing power. This alone cost the trainer $600,000. Training these models are not easy tasks because they're filled with millions and millions of images, as I mentioned, and billions of parameters, or in waits for the machine learning model to continuously compute and optimize. And so it's pretty evident that not many people will be able to train their own models because it simply costs too much money and time. However, once the model is trained, it's fairly easy for everyone to grab it, host it, and start using it to generate new AI content images. And this is what's happening. If you go to websites like Hugging Face, you'll see that there are plenty of models that people have trained using intensive computing resources and now are open for people to try and test with their models on generating brand new novel images. If you want to get into this field, make sure you have a lot of money first to buy computing resources. Now let's get into the next and final fact. Fact 5. Text to video. The next iteration of AI generated images is gonna be AI generated videos. Because if you think about it, videos are really just a bunch of images laid together in succession, played over at a high frame rate so that it seems like they're moving. But when in reality, it's really just a bunch of still images combined together. And since the first step is done, meaning that images are able to be generated using computer machine learning models, really the next natural evolution is text to video. And can you imagine, when text to video models are created, people can start creating videos that are completely AI generated, and it will have a much easier way to convince people of false information or propaganda, because people respond to videos much easier than to a bunch of still images. And so it's a brave new world with text to video that's about to come in the world of AI generated content. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.